What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Monday night. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter /X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is a rescheduled episode 195 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a Texas-based wrestler and part of the South Texas Killas faction. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Insatiable, Bobby Lite. How you doing tonight?
What's going on? I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Super excited, super antsy because we've been trying to get this down for about a week now. So
Yeah, and it came up to literally right before showtime, and the skies opened up, and God smiled down on us, and we managed to get her done.
yeah.
So, for those of you watching live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all, or at least most, of Bobby's social media accounts, along with mine. So do us a favor. If you aren't following or subscribed, please take the time and go to each of our platforms and do so. It definitely helps all of us. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
Okay. Well, it's a bit of a awkward timeline. So I began wrestling training in 2017. I had my first match in 2018. I took a break before COVID around 2019 to figure out college and life and stuff, and I had a pick an ultimatum. And then around 2020, the end of 2021 is when I came back to wrestling. I started training again. I had my first match back in 2021, and I've been wrestling ever since then.
Gotcha. So who actually trained you?
So my beginnings are with a few local wrestlers in Laredo, Texas. And the first guy that trained me, well, his name was Johnny Young. And he trained me for about a month, maybe. And the reins were then passed over to, or at least the ring. So us also, all of the other trainees moved over to this other guy's house, named George Wolf. At the time, he was named Mad One, but now he goes as George Wolf. I trained with him for about a year and some months. Eventually, I took my break, and then when I came back to wrestling, I trained with Luis Spartan Ramirez, and he is the head coach, the owner of 5 Star Wrestling Academy, also down in Laredo, Texas. And those three names are the reason why I know my stuff. So I give them all the credit, all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually a native Texan myself. I was born in San Angelo out in West Texas and lived for my first 6 years or so in San Antonio. Actually haven't been back to Texas since I left, but I need to get back out there and see some things now that I'm old enough to appreciate them,
Of course.
But yeah, Texas and Texas wrestling definitely has a soft spot in my heart because I still think of Texas kind of as home.
Yeah. So. No, yeah. Texas is all I've known. I am technically Chicago born. No, I mean, I say technically, but I am. I was born in Chicago, but I moved very young here down to Texas. I lived most of my life in Laredo, and now I am a resident of San Antonio. So I've had a couple places to call home, but I think that my true home is Laredo because that's where I spent most of my life.
Gotcha. So looking over at the Instagram chat, we've already got some people filing in. We've got Ed Miller 8035. Looks like Breeze Wrestling Adventure, Red Davis, and GOW Kevin Williams. And Red Davis basically says before he gets back to his workout, he says he loves you, Bobby. And he says, I haven't had a 1v1 yet, but I can tell you, Bob, is someone who needs to be signed or looked at by major companies. So you've got high praise from Red Davis.
Wow, I mean, get me choked up on a live interview, man.
So, in terms of the early portions of your wrestling training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to wrap your mind and body around?
Just the sheer like brutality of it, and like I could be overestimating it or overselling it, but it's brutal, man. It's really brutal. I like many others who haven't stepped foot in the ring, at that time, I was like, oh, it's padded, soft ring, it ain't gonna hurt. It's a trampoline, all those sayings, stuff like that. I thought the same thing, quickly found out that it's just a thin piece of foam on some plywood, and it hurt. It really, really hurts. Yeah, that part really, threw me for a loop. And yeah, just like the amount of physical condition you have to be in to just do the simplest things in that ring, without getting tired, gassing yourself out, hurting yourself or someone else. Like it was just so much at once that I was like, whoa, this is a lot harder than it looks like on TV or playing around with my friends in the backyard on the trampoline. It's not the same thing.
Oh yeah,
at all. So yeah, that was
Not
very,
at
very
all.
difficult. Was the physical aspect of it.
So, coming into wrestling training, did you have an athletic background? Had you done other types of sports? Had you done any martial arts, anything like that, that sort of at least gave you some athleticism coming into it?
Not consistently. No, I did Pop Warner football as a kid, and I had done a year of high school football in my freshman year of in high school, and by the time I got to wrestling training, I was already a junior in high school. So it had been a good year and a half or so. The last time I've done anything athletic or consistent. So that was mistake number one, was not being in any condition whatsoever and just diving into wrestling training and expecting the best. So
Yeah. Yep. So, when I asked my initial question, you mentioned that your wrestling history was somewhat convoluted, and you mentioned that at one point, you were trying to figure out college, and there was an ultimatum. What were you referring to with that?
well, the ultimatum was I could keep doing this, and at that point in my career, I was very like I hit a brick wall, both mentally and creatively. I just didn't know what I was doing anymore, and I was very like out of it. The surrounding promotion wasn't really helping me out with that, and so I was just stuck. And I was graduating high school soon, and I had to make a choice: do I keep doing this and not go to college, and you know just keep running my car into this brick wall over and over again and hoping that I break through, or do I just take a break for a bit? Maybe I can come back to wrestling because wrestling will always be there.
Yep.
It doesn't go away. It's forever. Um, and so I did. I decided to just take that small break. I went to college. COVID happened, so college didn't happen anymore. um, and I found an opening. I found an old familiar, environment with 5 Star Wrestling because I had never been a part of 5 Star Wrestling up until that point. And when I texted the coach, the owner, which I knew very well because I had done a bunch of shows with him already, but I just never been one of his students. I asked him if it was okay to come train with him. He's like, yeah, of course, with a tuition fee, but no, nothing crazy. Yeah. But no, he was still very welcoming. He still helped me out a lot. And and if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have come back to wrestling. Of course, my friends, still being in wrestling, the friends I made in the business were still doing it. So seeing them, still having a blast, still putting on good shows and good matches. I'm like, man, I miss those feelings, you know. So I came back with a whole new look, a whole new name, and a whole new ideal and like goal set in mind, and it's been pretty good ever since.
Gotcha. So, I'm presuming just because this has been the typical answer from the majority of people I've had on the show, I'm
Yeah.
presuming you've been at least a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
For as long as I can remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Since I was
Wh-
maybe 4 years old.
What would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
My earliest wrestling related memory would have to be watching SmackDown in Spanish in Mexico because
Mhm.
for a couple years of, before I started like elementary school, um, my grandpa loved wrestling, and so he would watch it anytime. He would go to the live shows in Mexico, the lucha shows. But before
Oh
that,
yeah.
he would watch the SmackDown highlights. You know, it was just like the matches and some backstage segments, stuff like that. But it was all in Spanish, so all I knew was SmackDown in Spanish, and that was my first like, whoa, that guy's cool. I didn't know anyone's names. I didn't know who was who, you know. But that was my earliest memory of watching wrestling and like recognizing that I'm watching wrestling. You know,
Gotcha. What was the first live show you went to as a fan?
technically, it was this AAA show in Mexico, but it wasn't
Mhm.
televised. It was a house show.
Right.
They were doing small venues across Mexico and stuff like that, and one of them happened to be in the town that I was living in at that time. And my grandpa, my aunt took me, and my God, like that was like the like I honed in. I was watching the show through and through. I never like broke away. I never looked away. All my focus was on the show, and like it was such a blast. La Parca was there. Pentagon and like a bunch of other names, Mystico. Like there was a bunch of them at that time. That was
Mhm.
super cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my first exposure to La Parca was in WCW,
Yeah.
and that was I guess the current iteration of La Parca is a different guy,
Yes.
but man, I loved La Parca. I loved the whole mystique about him, and it's cool to see that tradition is still being upheld.
Oh yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
So, the physical side of this is obviously very important. And so, tell us a bit about your gym routine. What would you say is the most crucial exercise or group of exercises to keep yourself in ring shape? Is there something that you really kind of rely on?
Honestly, it's the cardio. It is the cardio through and through. I try to preach it to like a lot of the younger or like the newer. I don't want to say younger because there's wrestlers who are barely trying this out that are older than me, which is cool, which is fine. But I will say the newer wrestlers. I always try to tell them, you can come to wrestling training all you want, and you can show up and you can do a great job at training, but you're gonna feel the difference when you only do training and you don't do cardio outside of it. um it's insane the difference that it makes. I try to incorporate cardio with every workout I do, so whether it's a chest workout or a leg workout, I have to end the day with cardio because it'll translate to training and it'll translate to my matches.
Absolutely. So Bree's Wrestling Adventure over in the Instagram chat says Bobby is one of the most amazing persons I've ever met. He's like a brother to me. Love you, Bobby. So
I love it too. Shout out, Bree. She's one of the best like fans that San Antonio has like ever seen. She's always out supporting and going to shows and uh, you know making sure that our name is being cheered, whether we're heel or face. She's always out there supporting all of us. So it's really cool.
Absolutely. And Chris Page from CCP Podcasting just poked
Hey,
his head in. Love that guy. I
yeah,
mean,
Chris.
Chris is just good people,
Yeah, no, he is.
and
He's a really good dude. Yeah.
he congratulates you on the title win.
Oh
So
yeah. This wasn't planned, but I happened to be in the same room that only talking about. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, this one right here.
nice,
Brand new.
nice. So tell us about the South Texas Killas. How did that come about? I had Jonathan Life on, not too long ago, and I know he's another part of the faction. So tell us from your perspective the STK story, and how did it all come about?
Sure. So yeah, first of all, shout out my brother, Jonathan Life, brother from another mother. My ride or die.
He's a
So
good
we
dude.
he's super good. He's awesome. I so we met back in 2016. And that year was a really good year for me because I had met a whole new group of people, and that's when I started, wetting my feet with, becoming a wrestler.
Mhm.
So when I met him, it was just strictly just friendship. We were just hanging out, like, oh, cool. I get to hang out with one of the wrestlers because he was already wrestling during that time. I think he had been wrestling for 4 years already at that point, 3 years at that point,
Mhm.
or two. My math would be off, but he was wrestling for quite some time now, and um, it was cool because like, oh, cool, I get to hang out with one of the wrestlers. Awesome, and he ended up being a really funny dude, and we always had a blast together. Um, and then our closeness always fluctuated. Some years we were hanging out every day. Other years, we would hang out once a month. It was very different. But after pandemic or during pandemic, I would say is when we would all connect over video games online or phone calls or whatever, just to stay in touch and still hang out with each other even though oh
Yeah.
hello um we would still stay in touch and stuff like that. And well, we had both stopped wrestling, me before him, but he had stopped because of the pandemic. It wasn't a choice. He had to stop wrestling.
Right.
I'm sure he would have kept going if there was no pandemic. But so yeah, so we both stopped wrestling. He started a family, and that was awesome. Um, and during that time, I had come back to wrestling around 2021, like I said. But he was still handling his business. He was still, providing for his family. And then it wasn't until maybe half a year later after I came back, or a few months later after I came back, he came back, and that was cool. And one of his first matches back was me. Was me and him one on one, and that was really really cool. Um, and I'm sure that the video's up there somewhere. Jonathan Light versus Bobby Light for 5 Star Wrestling. It's there somewhere, and it's kind of like the point of like me and him like collaborating, whether as opponents or with storylines and stuff like that. So it was really cool. Eventually, I had the idea of like because me and him felt like we had plateaued kind of with
Mhm.
ideas and like creativity and creative, like singles wise, I guess. We kept facing the same opponents over and over again, and we kept getting the same storylines over and over again. So we felt like we were going in circles, and so me and him were like, man, like like I feel like we're not getting the most out of wrestling right now, just because of for whatever reason. So I ran the idea by him, like, well, what if we became a tag team? Because he had been in other tag teams before, and I was in a tag team as well before him. So we're not strangers to being in teams and in factions. Um, but I make sure with him like, hey, is this something you want to do? I don't know what your goal was or your focus was when you came back to wrestling. I don't want to make it seem like I'm forcing you to be my partner.
Right.
I just thought it'd be cool because we're already friends. We get along so well, so I feel like it would work out. You know. And so eventually, the storyline for how it happened was there was a third friend of ours who like basically they were friends longer since high school, but I had well let me backtrack. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Uh, I had turned heel on John because I was a
Okay.
face. I turned heel on him, and the whole storyline was, "Whoa, like, what are you doing? This is not like this isn't you, like, man, like, whatever. Like, this is me now." And eventually, I'm trying to call John to the dark side, like, "Hey, come join me. We can win tag team championships. We can win gold together. We can be unstoppable together. We're
Yep.
good separate, but we're better together." And the third friend, our other friend, he kept saying, "No, John, like, dude, I've known you forever. Like, this isn't you." Like, and John the whole time was like, "No, no, I'm not gonna join him. He's crazy, whatever." It was building up week after week, on a weekly show. At one point, I helped John win a match because he was on a losing streak,
Mm-hmm.
and so he finally won a match after like a 5 match losing streak. And "Hey, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. I helped you win. Like, I didn't need your help. Like, like, this doesn't mean I'm joining you. Like, I don't owe you anything." Eventually, me and the other friend, because we had a feud, and the match was gonna be like, oh, John interferes. He helps his friend win, but when it came down to it, they were gonna do the meet in the middle, the DIY Johnny Gargano Tommaso
Yeah.
Ciampa move. They're gonna do it to me, and I'm there on my knees, and the whole crowd is like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" They're anticipating, and eventually, John super kicks the other friend that he knew longer since like high school, and he grabs me, picks me up, gives me a hug, and then we do that same move to the friend in the middle.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, the pop was great. It was super cool, and ever since then, I think we formed in 2024 is when we formed. And it's been gold ever since. Like, we've always bounced ideas off each other really well, and you know, I always say that I wouldn't be here in my career without him. With the opportunities we've gotten together and stuff like that, because we were a team and stuff like that. So that was really cool.
Absolutely. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Um, I love music. Music has always been like a second passion of mine. I always said that if I wasn't gonna make it with wrestling, I was gonna make it with music. I love, you know, uh, just any. I know a lot of people say like I love all music. I know I genuinely mean like I love all types of music. I will listen to really like out there music or opera music. Classical music, ensembles and stuff like that. Of course, listen to like to rock, hip hop, all the popular stuff. But like, I love music in all aspects. So like, that was always a big passion of mine. If it wasn't wrestling, it would be music. Other hobbies, I love reading comic books. Huge comic
Mhm.
book fan. Love comic book movies, superheroes, DC, Marvel, even indie independent comics like Hellboy, The Savage Dragon, Spawn.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, So those are like I love to death. Um, and movies. I have a big passion about movies as well. Like, learning about like behind the scenes stuff, directors, and movies from like the 50s and 60s. I just um what was that word? A cinephile was what I've been called
Mhm.
from both my
Nice.
wife and friends. Yeah, so movies as well is
Very
a
cool.
big passion of mine.
Very cool. So you mentioned music being another area of passion. Do you play any instruments?
I play a little bit of guitar, and I had a couple of drum lessons, but nothing to where I can like consistently play a song. I mostly sing. I'm a
Mhm.
really big singer, and I sing a lot. I love karaoke nights, my friends and family.
Oh, yeah.
And that was always something I was going to pursue, had it not been for wrestling. So
Gotcha, gotcha. The reason I was asking is when I got into live streaming, which was I'm actually at about the 2 year point right now. the first 6 months, I was doing this same type of thing, but talking with unsigned music bands.
Wow.
I'm a hobbyist guitarist and bass player myself.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I mean, I just I fool around with it, and music and wrestling are my two big hobbies. So
Same here.
yeah, yeah.
What kind of music? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I'm just saying, what
Oh
kind of
no,
music do you usually go to? What's your go-to to like play or to?
mostly probably classic rock, really from like the 1960s forward.
Nice.
Um, and I'm finding the older I get, the heavier my taste in music gets. So I'm in my 50s now, and I'm kind of something of a metalhead. So
Nice, very good, very good.
and we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a bit into pop culture, and I'm always looking for recommendations. So
Okay.
are you watching or listening to anything really cool right now?
I recently just discovered. I don't know how you feel about like jazz music and stuff like that. I know
Yeah,
it's
I
very
like
hit or
jazz.
miss. There's this artist I just recently discovered. His name is By Alexander. So like
Hmm.
it's a song title by Alexander. Like that's the artist's name, B.Y. Alexander. He's like super like future like hip hop jazz kind of deal, like
Oh,
blend,
that's
and it's
cool.
super
Yeah,
super cool. I've been listening to it during my workouts, and it's been getting me through them. Which is something you wouldn't expect for a workout, like usually like
yeah.
hip hop or metal or something or rock. But no, I'm listening to city jazz while working out, and it helps me out a lot for some reason. And I
Nice.
guess something I've been watching. I've recently been watching this movie that just came out that I just watched recently that I super like behind. It's called Iron Lung. I don't know if you've seen.
I've heard about it. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. It's an independent film that made it to like a feature film, like standing. It was made by this YouTuber who played this game on his channel, and he ended up saying like, "This would make a really good movie." And so the passion project just started, and he just kept making deals, and he worked with the original game creator that made the game, and he's like, "Hey, we should make a movie out of this." And so he funded it himself, and he produced it, and he got it out there. He found a makeup team and a set and everything, and he made it, put it out there, and now it's like the number one movie like this past weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love hearing stories like that about people kind of betting on themselves and self-funding stuff. I mean that's
Mm.
just uh, that's always just really really cool. You
Yeah,
know,
no.
I don't know if you like political thrillers at all, but within the last few days, I stumbled upon a series, and I've watched the first few episodes of it. It's called Paradise, and it's a political thriller on Hulu, and it is really really good. It's taking some really interesting twists. So
I haven't heard of it, but I would definitely check it out. Yeah, I'm always into like thriller and like suspenseful kind of stuff, so I would
yeah.
definitely check it
So outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
out. It's gonna be really cheesy. It's gonna be very corny. I feel like answer, but uh, the one person in my life right now that inspires me a lot is my wife. Um, just because she can probably hear me right now, which is the funny part. But she just finished her nursing school, and she got a degree, and she passed her tests, and like the test you
Well,
get to get your license.
congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah, the
congratulations to her.
the state boards. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Not the board. I think it's like the NCLEX. It's something like that.
Oh yeah.
But
Okay.
she was stressing, and she was stressing hard, and she pulled through, and she did it. And she's been my biggest inspiration of like it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard as hell, and it's not gonna be easy, and it's gonna be it's gonna take long nights of staying up, getting the best of yourself just to achieve what you want to achieve, which is what she wanted to do. She wanted to become a nurse, a registered nurse, and I'm super proud of her. And so I always tell her like, yeah, I look up to you. She's younger than me by 2 years, but I always tell her like I look up to you like so much. Like yeah, she's so like put together in her mind, and she always thinks things through, and she's always like so. Yeah, outside of wrestling, she is my big inspiration. To keep going,
That's
to keep
awesome.
trying. Yeah.
That's awesome. What area of nursing is she going into?
Right now, she's working at the local hospital here in San Antonio. She's working in the intensive care unit for neuro.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, yeah. She's a very important part of the hospital, and they ask a lot, of their nurses, and she's like breezing through it, like the over preparedness she had during school and during college and stuff like that, and during her like internships and stuff like that. She's above like the criteria, like she exceeds it, so she's doing great right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I was asking about that because, a number of years ago, I actually worked as a paramedic for several
Oh,
years.
really?
So yeah, so I mean, I was kind of more in the emergency medicine side of things, but
Right.
being out there on the truck, man, you kind of see it all. I
You
mean,
see it all for sure.
anything and everything. So and it gave me a good background for what I do now. I'm still in the healthcare industry, but I'm doing something totally different at this point.
Okay.
But yeah. So tell us a bit. They say that the best wrestling persona is basically pretty much yourself turned up to 1,000. So kind of tell us about in-ring Bobby Light and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
So it's a funny story. My trainer, my train, George Wolf. He says, or he told me that like in order to understand your character, or to you know, like so you can tell people like, oh, this is my gimmick, this is who I am. You have to, basically say or make a backstory, for a character, like how you would write a story for a book or, a screenplay. What's this character's backstory? What's their motivation? Why are they in wrestling? What do they want to get out of it? Not you yourself as a person. Like, obviously, you want to be successful and get bookings and make money. No, yeah, of course. But what does your character want? Does he want to just fight all the time? Does he want to be sneaky and win? Does he want championships? Does he want money, fame, glory, you know, admiration? What is he fighting for? So he told me like, go home, get a notebook, and write down a backstory for your character. Because he asked me, what's your the same question you asked me, and I was like, I don't know. He's just me. Well, that's not really an answer. So go home, give me an answer, and then come back. I'm like, okay. So I go home and I stayed up to maybe like 2, 3 in the morning. When I started like at 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, what? Like what? Like what does he want? And so the name I came up with was Insatiable Bobby Light. And I looked at the
Yeah.
definition, and insatiable basically means like always wanting more. An insatiable lust, and like you never quit, like you never quit wanting. So like, oh, that's pretty cool. What if I always want to win? And I'm like, oh, that's good. That's kind of, generic in my head. What if he has an insatiable lust for championships? And so that's it. That's all he wants, is to win championships, because winning means that he's successful. And if you're not winning, you're not nothing. You're nothing. And so like, and this sounds like sketchy, but like it's because it was supposed to be a heel character. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no space for losers, only winners. But for some reason, I became a face with that, headspace, had that character. I don't know how it happened, but it did. Not by my doing. It just kind of happened. Um, and yeah, so insatiable Bobby Light always wants to win. And losing is a big flaw in his character. So if he loses, he spirals and he doesn't know what to do. So he has to win. He always wants to win. he has to stay champion because that means he means something. So
Gotcha. Well, your brother Jonathan Life just pulled in. He's over in the Instagram chat, and he says Bobby Light, king of the slams. He wants it all.
yes,
He
yes,
he knows you well.
yes, that is something that we're working on together. That he helped me out with. That I'm gonna try out this year. That I'm not gonna disclose any further because it's a bit of a
Okay.
surprise. But yeah, King of the Slams is something to be seen later on this year.
Awesome. So, if you can narrow it down, what is your favorite match that you've been a part of? If you can narrow it down to one or two, tell us the story.
I'd have to say it was. I'm gonna say a couple because they're all interchangeable in my head.
Okay.
Recently in December, there was a AAA tour happening in Texas called Texas Mania, and I had the privilege of being a part of half of the tour. It was a 6 date tour, and I was a part of three of the shows. There was one in Odessa, there was one in Houston, and then there was one in San Antonio, and those are the three that I did. And I have to say that those matches were like my favorite in my career, just because of how big and grand the stage was, how like who I got to do it with. My opponents were close friends of mine, so that felt really good too. I was with John, obviously, and that was a dream come true to be at a AAA show with my best friend. Um, and yeah, I just like those matches were so fluid and they were so good, and like the bosses were super happy, and the promoter was happy, and everyone was like, "Man, you guys are pretty good," because they don't know who we are. So like remind us to give you a call and stuff. I was like, "Oh shit," I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really good. It was me. It was Jonathan Life. And then the first show was me, Jonathan Life, against Aries Alexander, which you've had on your show, I
Yeah.
believe.
I
Yep.
have. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that guy. And his partner was Dill Dempsey. And that was the first show. And the second show in Houston was again me and Jonathan Life against Aries Alexander and Santiago Medina. Another great dude, up and coming, new, fresh, and like super hungry. So he's really awesome too. And the final show was all of us together. It was me, Jonathan, and Dill Dempsey versus Empire, all of Empire, which is Aries Alexander, Santiago Medina, and Jacob Prodigy. And I think that one was my favorite one, just because of like how chaotic it was before. Of like, oh, your time changed again. All right, last time change. So it just kept getting knocked down. Everything, the match was getting shorter and shorter, and but we made it work, and we made everyone happy, and the crowd was loud, and that's all I want. It was a reaction, because the last thing you want is crickets. Um, but no, it was a blast. So I couldn't pick one over the other. Those three shows, those three matches were perfect in my head. So
Gotcha. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match that's just near and dear to your heart that you just find yourself kind of circling back to? Do you have such a match?
I have two, but it's
Okay.
I will say the one that I appreciate both as a fan and a worker, um, because it either way you look at it, it's either entertaining or super like well thought out and like awesome. Is CM Punk versus John Cena at Money in the Bank, and like the lead
Mhm.
up to it was great, but like just the fact that they knew it didn't have to do much just to get an a great reaction out of the crowd. Whether it was John, being the aggressive one because they're in Chicago, so he had to lay on the heat on CM Punk because, like it or not, he was the heel in that match, whether he wanted to be or not.
Right.
And CM Punk being the underdog, babyface in his hometown, and like the way they just worked it was so good, and their facial expressions, and like the how insane some of the spots were. I think CM Punk took like over the head back bump, like over John Cena. I forgot what was the spot exactly, but he took a bump to the outside on the floor. Like that was insane. Um, just of like how good like the chemistry was between them, and like how on the edge of my seat I was as a kid watching it, and then as an adult still like, oh my god, like this is so good. Like, I know people will, put a lot of like New Japan matches and like ROH matches like as your best match or favorite matches, but I think that one, because like since I first watched it live as a kid, on pay-per-view, to right now, it has consistently been my favorite, and like I'll never get tired of it.
Gotcha. So, kind of piggybacking onto that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
Oh my god, that's a great question. I have to say, um, I'd have to say it was the promo between John Cena and Roman Reigns leading up to their match. Their first match, not the one where he's the tribal chief. Back when Roman Reigns was trying to be the guy and stuff, and the whole you took the U.S. title. Oh, I took the U.S. title and made it mean something. You took the U.S. title as a demotion. Just like how much Roman Reigns had to win that match, like as a fan, because he did not win that promo battle. He did not even come close. And yeah, it was super good. Like just because John Cena was still that guy, even though he wasn't around, as that was around the time where he started like trickling off and disappearing from movies and stuff like that. We're seeing less and less of him, but he still had it. Like he never lost it. You know. So like John Cena's that dude. So I think that's one of my favorite promos ever. Just it was a reminder of how good John Cena is. If for some reason you forgot.
Right. Absolutely. So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would you love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
Two names come to mind. Both as like a lifelong fan and a worker. I think the fan in me wants to face my favorite, which is the Undertaker. It's my favorite wrestler of all time. So
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker would be a dream match for just to fulfill that dream. But someone that I feel like I would have a great match with, or just a hard hitting match, is Stan Hansen. Stan
Oh,
Hansen,
yeah.
yeah, New Japan Stan Hansen. Like, oh my god, you can find me tape studying him like constantly these days. I think a close one is Kenta Kobashi. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he is one also, but Stan Hansen is, oh my god, like that's someone that would be a dream to have with him or Terry Funk, just because of how I
Yeah.
love how they like their styles and how hard they hit and stuff like that. I love that a lot, and I feel like it's lost a lot nowadays with our generation.
Yep.
Everyone wants to be flashy and get that highlight reel, but no one wants to like just like that have
Yeah.
that in their matches. So
Really lay it in. Yeah.
yeah.
Stan Hansen's match with Vader was just insane. I mean,
Oh!
yeah.
If there was an era where I could think I would thrive, it would be that era. Because God,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You know, a match that I think would have been amazingly physical if it had ever happened would have been Stan Hansen and Samoa Joe.
Oh my God, that's a dream. What a dream. That'd be
I mean,
beautiful. And I love
could
Samoa
you
Joe with a passion.
could you imagine those two guys hooking it up
Yes,
in
just laying it clean.
in their primes?
Oh my
Wow.
God. And like the flashiness that Samoa Joe would bring to it too, with like his kicks and stuff like that, and his middle
Yeah.
his dive to the outside. Like, oh my God, that's a great
Yeah.
match. Wow, that's really
Yeah.
good.
So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
A move I love doing. Um, I guess just because it's my finisher, so like it's just easy. It's a great move to give, and it's easy to give. Is the sky high, which was
Mhm.
done by D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, D'Lo Brown. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I didn't take it from him. I took it from a friend who took it from him, but I still love the move. It's very like simple. The timing doesn't have to be that perfect, and it can always be hit well. And it looks impactful, and it's cool, and I love it. So the Sky High is one I love giving. Um, um, but one move I won't do or won't take. I think any move uh, that like requires landing on your head or neck or like your upper back kind of freaks me out. Um, I've taken a pile driver before, which is funny that I say that. Which 'cause I'll take a pile driver, but like I think what freaks me out is like a poison rana or
Hmm.
a Frankensteiner, or something like that. Like those kind of freak me out. Um, that or um, what do they call it again? Oh my god, I'm a wrestler. I should know this. A destroyer, a Canadian destroyer, kind of
Yeah.
trips me out too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Along those lines, as a fan, a move that I always get a really uncomfortable feeling when I see it being set up for is a vertebreaker.
oh my god, yeah,
I
vertical is
mean,
insane.
it just looks like there are so many ways that could go catastrophically wrong. I mean,
Yeah. That or
the
a Tiger driver. Tiger driver's
oh
insane.
yeah, yeah. Some of the stuff that they innovate over in Japan is just nuts. I mean,
Yeah, Burning Hammer. Yeah, those are just insane to me.
yeah, yep. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask you, what hurts right now? Or should I ask what doesn't hurt?
Uh, I mean, it comes and goes. It depends on the kind of match you have. If you have just a straight grappling match, you'll be a little sore on your arms and stuff like that. But if you have a match with bigger opponents and it's landing you around and stuff like that, it's always your back. It's
Yeah.
always your lower back and stuff like that. If you're not taking care of yourself right, I think right now what irks me or what always gets me after a match or training is my shoulders. There
Hmm.
are some times where my shoulders feel like they're gonna pop like out of their socket. Like that's when I go especially hard. Like when I'm like balls to the wall, like just throwing my body around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Makes for a great match, but I do not feel good afterwards. Um, and it'll affect my workout regimen for sure. So that's always not great. But yeah, no. For the most part, everything else heals up pretty quick, unless you take like a nasty bump or you fall wrong or there's some kind of mistake or you know miscommunication that happens where you ring your bell
Yeah.
or something. Most of the time, consistently, it's my shoulders, both shoulders, and like, it feels nasty every time I come home. But thank God I got my nurse at home,
Yes,
my wife.
absolutely. So,
But
that's really a perfect segue into the next question, which is, what is the worst bump you have taken?
it had to be. It was a double-handed chokeslam that I took from this wrestler back in Laredo, and he was tall. He was tall, tall. Like he was, I think 6'7", something like
Oh,
that.
wow. Big
Um,
guy.
Big guy, and he got me. Boom, both hands. We're going up, whether he likes it or not, because he was also strong, very strong. I did not need to jump for him at all. Uh, he picked me up, boom, sat on my back. That one was knocked the wind out of me. I I think I like cut my tongue with my teeth because I bit my tongue on the way down.
Yeah.
Um, it was just bad. It was just bad. Another one was I forgot the exact name of the move where you have them in a sleeper hold position, and the person in the sleeper hold takes a back bump, and the person holding it falls forward. So you basically fall together like that.
Yeah.
Um, so he had my head too tight or like not like loose to where I can tuck my chin. So his hand was trapped under my head. So when we went down, I couldn't tuck, and so my head just
Mm,
smacked the canvas, and my bell was rung like hard. I think that might have been my first concussion, my first one
gotcha.
in the business.
You mentioned that as your first one. How many concussions do you think you've had?
I think because I don't know, uh, like it sounds bad, but it's the wrestler thing where you don't go to the hospital unless you really have to.
Right, of
Um,
course.
yeah. So I think I've had two. I had one in a match, which is the one I just mentioned, and then one in training where I was supposed to duck for a clothesline. I didn't, and I ate the clothesline hard. And that one, like I saw the lights like flash as I got hit. So
Yeah,
that one was bad.
gotcha. So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
With complete honesty, uh, I hate it. I hate it, and I've expressed it to my tag team partner, and he agrees with me to a certain point. It makes things easier, to reach out to the promoters, to contact promoters, to see, how good is this guy? Well, let's see, let's see his highlight reel, let's see his match clips and stuff like that. So I get that aspect. It's very easy not to communicate, but I hate that it's a lot of it relies on just that now. You know,
Yeah,
I hate that people can post a clip that'll go viral, and it could be their best clip ever. That's the only thing they do, and it gets them popular. And I get it. It gets you booked. It gets you money. I'm not dissing that. But let's just say there's a guy in the same exact promotion or in the same exact business or show that put on an insane match, and it was super good, and they went the distance, like a full 20-30 minute match, and it was the best match of the night. But hey, check out that highlight reel. That was really cool. Like, oh, come on, man.
yeah,
So I think that's the part that irks me, is that a lot of really good wrestling and matches are overlooked for the highlight reel. You know, the attention span is gone. So as long
yeah,
as you can make that viral moment, you're good. Which kind of blows, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. You know, that's the thing with social media, and with Wi-Fi, and with smartphones in your back pocket. Um, there's we're living in an age of instant gratification.
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's which in some ways is good, but in many ways, like you were talking about the attention span. People have the attention span of a fruit fly now,
Yeah.
and so it definitely makes it hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of social media, but it's kind of a necessary evil in what we do.
Yeah.
So
It is very necessary, and I understand it, and I am adapting to it a lot better now than when I first started.
yeah,
But yeah, and you could tell like it translates to the matches, like the live shows as well, because people, those same fans that watch the highlight reels, will attend the shows. And if you're not doing something flashy or crazy in the first 30 seconds, which in the grand scheme of wrestling is frowned upon because you got to build up to that crazy, flashy stuff. They don't
yep,
care. They won't care till you get to the flashy stuff.
yep,
And so you gotta be a human highlight reel nowadays instead of just working a decent match. I feel like I sound very jaded for such a young person, but I notice it a lot, and it's very disheartening sometimes.
gotcha. So, hot take question. This year's Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan and Roman Reigns were the winners. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Who do you think should have won if you disagree with the winners that came about?
Oh no! I don't disagree with the winners at all. I feel like they're both very necessary, and I'm behind both. I Liv has had this coming for years now. She's been runner up like what 3 years in a row, I think.
Yeah,
And yeah, she deserves it, and like it was a no brainer. Like it didn't make sense other
right.
than maybe I don't know Roxanne or which shout out the homie Roxanne. And I don't know, like it was just her. Like it should have been her and only her because she's just been almost the winner every time.
Yeah,
And and so I loved it. I popped hard, and I was yelling, and I was excited. That was awesome. Roman, I feel like this is perfect because the last time he won a Rumble was back when he wasn't as liked. He wasn't. People weren't behind him as much, and now like that was the highlight of that Rumble. Unfortunately, was the end, was the winner. I
yeah,
think the only problem that I had was the Rumbles themselves, and more the men's, to be honest. Just like the agent, and like the planning, and like the way it was called, stuff like that, I didn't agree with. People were left out that I should have been in the Rumble. Like Finn Balor was one that was left out that I was very,
yeah,
you know, not happy with, just because they were building
yeah,
him up these past 2 weeks. So unless they do something really cool like these next few weeks with him, I don't see this succeeding.
yeah,
With them.
yeah.
Um, and
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but yeah, no, but I agree with you. I didn't have a problem with the winners. Especially on the women's side, I definitely think Liv Morgan deserved it. I was actually pulling for Jacob Fatu. I was
Wonderful.
hoping, but I mean, he has an incredible future ahead of him.
Oh yeah,
So I mean, his time is coming for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of hoping we were going to see him pull it off, but it's
I
all
thought so
good.
too. I thought him and LA Knight were two of the ones that might have won it, or made a more of an impact in the match. And Jacob Fatu did, but I thought LA Knight was going to be more of an important piece of the Rumble. But no, I was very happy with Roman. It was cool. I was glad to see it. It made sense in my head. I
Yep.
think the one part that really irked me, or like really made me upset, was Brock Lesnar getting eliminated during an entrance, and
Yeah.
no one saw it in the arena, only the people at home. And I thought, like, okay, well, this happened. Maybe it's gonna lead to Brock versus Jay at WrestleMania because he's gonna attack him, or whatever. No, he just left. He went
Yeah.
backstage, and that was it. And I was like, oh, then what was the point of
Yeah.
that? That was terrible. I thought he was gonna stay there and then take out Jay, and Jay never entered the Rumble, and it was gonna be him and Brock at WrestleMania or something. But no, it just didn't happen. Nothing happened. So
So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
oh man, uh, and I know a lot of people will say like just keep pushing, just keep trying, keep your head up. Um, just make sure that the people you have that are supporting you are feel the love back. I think that's what I would say. Whether it's friends or family or fans, like make sure they know that you care about them too. Because I think at a certain point, I was so worried about myself that I neglected, certain relationships or friendships because I was worried about just myself, and not on purpose. Not like I didn't care about anybody else, but my focus was so on me that I had forgotten those that helped me along the way. So I would definitely tell them like, hey, make sure you give props to your trainers, give props to your friends, give props to your family, obviously, and the fans, the fans especially. Um, I think I was so worried about getting, gratification from them that I didn't even consider like, oh, I mean, do you like what I do? Like to asking them, talking to them after a show, making sure they're enjoying the product that I'm putting out or, whatever. But I would definitely say that, make sure they feel the love that we're giving you.
Got you. So, do you have any pre show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Stretch a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd reach this point at my age, like so young, but I already feel the after effects if I don't stretch and I go out there and wrestle. It hurts. I pull something, 9 times out of 10, it will happen. So I definitely stretch a lot. I take pre workout or energy drink before I go out there, just so I'm a little more amped up and I feel a little more, like I guess like pumped up. I feel a little more like excited about it. Not that I'm not excited, just even more excited. And yeah, I obviously grab a couple of resistance bands or dumbbells or whatever they have laying around. It's gone to the point where like we're in the outside venue and they have tires lying around, so I'll grab a tire and I'll start curling the tire just because I don't have
Yeah.
my bands or weights. I'll just use a tire, like whatever's in my vicinity, I will use to get a quick pump in. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if this is a thing amongst other wrestlers. I want to ask you guys, do you guys do this? But I do this a lot. I don't eat much before my matches. I don't eat a lot or barely anything. I think I'll eat a very light, small breakfast, and that's it. Like I'll wake up at maybe 10 a.m. To eat my breakfast, and then my show isn't until like 7 or 8 o'clock, and I won't wrestle until after the show. I mean, I won't eat anything until after the show. And I feel fine. I feel good the whole
Yeah.
time. But I've heard that it could be dangerous or it could affect me in a poor way. But I haven't had any you know problems lately. I stay hydrated. I drink a lot of water. Obviously, I don't eat much before a show.
Well, hey, it keeps you hungry and keeps you insatiable,
There you go. Exactly. There you go.
So, just kind of a quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag, and do you carry anything unique or unusual in your gear?
I have a bunch of fan made things that I just have for safekeeping. That are like good luck charms. Because a lot of the times the fans that give me those items are I had a good match that show. So, oh, here you go, whatever. Here's the thing, and so I will put them in my bag, or if they're really brittle, I'll put them in my car and I'll hang them on something, or I'll make sure they're on display and they're in my car. But a lot of fan stuff is in there. I think that's pretty much it that I keep. That's unique. I'm looking at my bag right now. I'm trying to remember. I can see it right now, but I think that's the most unique item that would be in the wrestler's bag is their fan gifts. So.
Gotcha. Well, something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. And a previous guest of mine, a wrestler from the state of Oregon by the name of Naomi King, posed this question, and that is: would you rather wrestle in Mexico or in Japan?
Damn. Oh no. Oh boy. That's a terribly great question. Oh my god. My roots started in Mexico watching, lucha and, WWE in Spanish, but my god, do I love all the old school New Japan clips and matches that I always watch and the culture of it and the culture of wrestling and, hard hitting wrestling like I was talking about earlier, they're just beating the crap out of each other. So
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
strong style.
I love it. I love it so much. Oh no, how could she do this to me? Um, I think just to be true to myself and to pay it back to the kid that watched wrestling, Mexico would probably be the answer.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to ask to the next guest?
Sure.
Okay. What you got?
If let's say you get signed to whatever promotion they deemed their dream promotion to be signed to, um, would they try to how do I word this? Not negotiate. Don't negotiate. You take the first deal they give you. Uh, would you? What opponent from that promotion would they pick? So whether it be WWE or AEW.
So like, what opponent would you pick for your debut?
Yes, if you had to pick, if they gave you the choice, and it had to be a current signed, opponent.
That's actually a really good question. How would you answer that?
Well, the dream obviously is always, at least for me, is WWE. So if I got signed to WWE, um, I'm thinking realistically, I get signed to NXT first, and I would love to face, um, oh man, it's so funny. I was about to say like Trick Williams or something, but they all just left NXT, so I couldn't even answer them.
Yeah.
There's a big uplifting in NXT, so they're all gone now. All my answers. But I guess if I had to, if I had to make someone come back to NXT to face off against the new guy, it would either be Trick Williams or uh oh my god, what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. His mentor, the one he ran with when he first
Oh,
started.
Carmelo Hayes.
Carmelo Hayes, thank you. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
But yes, Carmelo Hayes, someone I would want to face as soon as I got signed.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Somebody who was actually one of my very early guests on the show, who actually just got officially signed to NXT, is a guy named Sean Legacy.
Oh,
And
nice.
I don't know if you've seen him on there yet, but keep your eye on Sean Legacy, because I think big things are ahead for him.
Oh my god, well, congrats.
He was one of the WWE ID folks that was on their Evolution show for a while, and he just made the transition over to NXT. And he's actually, I think tomorrow night, he's in a ladder match for the NXT title.
Oh
So,
my gosh, wow,
so,
congratulations.
so definitely keep an eye on Sean Legacy, because
I definitely will.
he was a good dude, and man, I'm just so happy to see his career taking off the way it is.
That's
But
awesome.
we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Yes, the 21st, I believe. I could have that date wrong, but no, it's first, February 21st. Community wrestling. Um, uh, I'm the community wrestling champion. I will be in action against my opponent Raxo. And that's here in San Antonio, and that's super exciting because a lot of big things are happening with Chris from Florida, which that's all I will say. All I can say for now, but um, some pretty big things are cooking up, and I'm super excited, and I hope they can come to fruition because a lot of cool stuff happening. But yeah, community wrestling, San Antonio, February 21st. Check them out on Instagram, community wrestling San Antonio. I'll likely be posting all of the information and stuff leading up to that show. But yeah,
That's Caius's group, isn't it?
yes, it is. Yes, it's Caius.
Yeah, man, I love Caius to death. Had him on not too long ago. He's another really tremendous dude.
Yeah,
So
that dude took me under his wing when he didn't have to, and he's been really good to me, and yeah, I want to pay it forward as much as I can. So
Absolutely. And looking at the Instagram chat, actually a future guest on the show coming up next week, a guy named Jake Powers from Central Florida is hanging out in the Instagram chat. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. And as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, this Friday, February 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 197, and our guest is a Florida-based wrestler who is also the head coach at the House of Champions in Orlando, the Hawaiian Warrior Kekoa. And then next Tuesday, February 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern, episode 198, the guy I was just talking about, Florida-based wrestler, Mr. Long Hair Don't Care, Jake Powers. And then next Friday, the 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern, episode 199. And our guest is a wrestler based out of the West Coast who actually recently participated in a WWE tryout camp, Mr. Always Ready himself, Leon Lacombo. And we're actually booked up we're getting toward the end of February now. And, you know, I always announce a lot of stuff, you know, pretty much a week out. So definitely keep an eye on my socials because we've definitely got some exciting stuff coming up. And Bobby, I want to thank you for your time. This has been an absolute blast, and definitely give your wife a hug for her being willing to share you with us tonight, because this definitely has been a blast.
Definitely will. Thank you so much, man. All the boys have been talking about this show, and they've been promoting the hell out of you. So I wanted to really make this happen, and you know, make it good. You know, make it a good episode.
Well, definitely, you know, any of your buddies out there that haven't come on that you think would enjoy this, send them my way, because it makes my job easier. You know, if you know, people just ping me in the DMs and we'll get them on for sure.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I'll let them know.
Yeah. And, you know, for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely, like I said earlier, do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until Friday night at 7 p.m. with the Hawaiian Warrior Kekoa, be good to each other, love each other.